Hello, I'm Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, the biggest company that has ever existed. And we've created a thing called a watch. Nobody ever owned a watch before, and now they've got a watch. And they can use all the crap that's already on their smartphone on their watch. Because that's what we want, is to have redundancy. I sure hope you like your special iPhone, and that now you can use your watch to do everything else, including pay for stuff, like the watch that you're buying, which costs a lot. Hey, Apple's really great, because we created the podcast. Because remember, we had the iPod years ago? I'm getting off track. You should support the independent podcasters. They're the ones that need support, not the ones that already have the big bucks, like the Mark Marons and the other cute guys. Adam Carolla, he's kind of cute with his curly hair. Not exactly my type, but listen to independent podcasters like Mike Matthews. He has no hair, and here he is with his show.
This show is clean, pretty much.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Episode 852. Hello, it's Mike Matthews broadcasting from Cafe Anyway, here at the last place on earth located somewhere in Podcastro Valley. Today it's the return of the much-loved feature, the MIKELOPEDIA Insanica, where we look at some insane news you didn't know about. Plus, we hear from Benita, the Disgruntled Fiddle Player, the Brewmaster, and if you're in the media, the one subject... Mike's Daily Podcast you don't bring up is Kelly Clarkson. Oops, I just did. Oh, eject. Mike's Daily Podcast. We'll find out why when I recently drove up to Petaluma, that little California town that's nowhere near Aruba. I had to cross the Richmond bridge, and suddenly there was something that put all the drivers on edge. A woman deliberately driving her car incredibly slow. Mike's Daily Podcast. When I finally got around her, I noticed she was leaning over so Mike's as to get something Daily from the passenger seat podcast foot area. Not very smart or safe. Unfortunately, you see a lot of this type of driving in the Bay Area. People get too comfortable with the incredibly dangerous conditions that they put themselves in. That puts the rest of us in danger. Ugh. Though I have received a ticket from them for stupid reasons, I respect the CHP for putting up with these nuts they've got to deal with. Oh my gosh. Anyway, look who just walked in. Hi, Mark. It's Benita, the rodeo queen. How you doing?
And it's Disgruntled Fiddle Player tell you what.
What?
So what was it the CHP got you for?
I had remember that I complained about it on the podcast. I had a ticket for, a Hollywood stop, what they call, where you kind of slow down, but you don't stop completely. I did stop completely, but just not for as long as they want you to, as the CHP guy then told me. We have the CHP here at Podcastro Valley do all the policing, because we're kind of this unincorporated area.
Yeah, it's kind of strange, kind of like a no man's land. So it was a Hollywood stop?
Actually, more of a Van Nuys stop, or Northridge.
I have no idea what you're saying.
Those are places near Hollywood.
Oh, I'd never go there, because there's all those wackos and crazy liberals and whatnot.
Yeah, there are a plethora of liberals in Hollywood, but it's amazing how many conservatives you meet.
I don't consider Clint Eastwood a conservative.
Really, his Sniper movie was the biggest movie of the year.
Yeah, but he likes to talk to chairs.
What's wrong with talking to things that aren't really there?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Me neither. Look who else just walked in.
Hello there, Mike. I make the root beer. I'm the brewmaster. Oh, boy.
Now, Brewmaster, Aaron Fonseca, who I sometimes do a podcast with called Your Nerd Side, he complains that you sound too much like a character from the Cleveland Show.
The what?
The Cleveland Show. It doesn't exist anymore. It got canceled. It failed horribly. It went down in flames. It did this. Blew up and splattered all over the place. But he had to go and show me a clip from the show, which is no longer existing, has been erased from every hard drive and every Netflix account in the world. That there is a bear on that cartoon that sounds a little bit like you.
What? That's not true.
Yeah, he kind of has that sort of Kermit-y voice, and it's like this bit of an accent.
I don't have an accent.
No, you don't. The bear kind of does this.
I think you should be there when you do that. Oh my God, Mog, that was that bear from that horrible cartoon that got canceled.
See, you people, you're just imagining things. Mark, did you rip off a character from the TV show that has been canceled and is defunct called The Cleveland Show? No, I did. You know, Brewmaster, you're a character that I came up with back in the 90s. This is, Seth MacFarlane was still sucking on his mother's female glands of the mammaries. And you are original idea that bear from The Cleveland Show is just a ripoff of you.
Well, Mark, so Seth MacFarlane listens to this show, huh?
Oh, I'm sure he does. Every second of every day. Totally.
Well, Mark, I don't care if a bear sounds like me or not. I still make the root beer. Oops.
That's right. You make root beer. That's another similarity. Beer, bear, crazy.
And, Mark, I think everybody wants to cancel this right now.
That's not true, is it? Okay, maybe we should move on then to Kelly Clarkson, who also doesn't get any respect from the media these days. When Fox's Chris Wallace was a guest on conservative host Mike Gallagher's radio show yesterday, the two began talking about Gallagher's weight and pizza. Gallagher used the moment to randomly mention Kelly Clarkson, saying, "Holy cow, did she blow up?" Wallace at first seemed to take the high road to avoid the subject, but a bit later he said she should stay off the deep dish pizza for a while. His comments drew the ire of colleague Greta Van Susteren, who wrote on a blog that Wallace was being obnoxious and owed Clarkson an apology. Kelly, who gave birth to her daughter in June, coincidentally appeared on Ellen DeGeneres yesterday and touched on criticism about her weight. She said, quote, "I think what hurts my feelings for people is that I'll have a meet and greet after the show and a girl who's like bigger than me will be in the meet and greet and be like, wow, if they think you're big, I must be so fat to them. And it's like, you're just who you are." This according to the Huffington Post. Isn't it amazing how Kelly Clarkson gets into our culture? No matter how old she gets. Because several years ago when 40-Year-Old Virgin came out, you had Steve Carell yelling out her name when he was getting his chest waxed. And then she just keeps popping up in random... Right when you think she's gone, she comes back. And she's huge. And she's got that song Heartbeat that's really big. So she's just got... first of all, she's small. She had a baby. I have had weight gains in my life, and I have not even ever and will never have a baby. And you just sometimes gain weight, and that's the deal. And I could lose more weight and drink even less frappuccinos than I do. And it's just nobody cares about me because I'm not, I'm just doing this podcast that Seth MacFarlane listens to all the time in my dreams. So kudos to Kelly Clarkson, and she's not wafer thin and not starving herself and looking horribly emaciated like a lot of the celebrities do, just starving themselves, and they look terrible, and that puts horrible pressure on women in society, and it needs to stop. Thank you, Kelly Clarkson. And with that, I will stop talking about her because apparently it's not good to discuss Kelly Clarkson in any broadcasting medium. But I love her song, Heartbeat song. This is my heartbeat song. Mark, that was beautiful. I want to go. I'm going to go and run around the cafe anyway because Mike Matthews is putting unnecessary pressure on women. No. That was the exact opposite. Benita, you don't have to run around the cafe anyway. I hate running anyway. Man, it's all about walking with me. Walking the Basil the Boxer. And it's so great that he can walk after his bad injury that you heard about that happened late last month. So, what do you think about Kelly Clarkson, about slow, horrible drivers in the Bay Area or wherever you live? And Floyd the Floor Man, he's okay with dog slobber now and ammonia, which is a good thing because he's a floor man. He cleans the floor here at Cafe anyway. So he's okay with those things we found out last show. And then when we found out he was going through puberty again. Yeah, who wants that? And then he and John Deere went with Shelley Shuhart to see that really sad Alan Alda movie that's out. And Shelley Shuhart said she would be their sad movie guide. Do you like to have a sad movie guide? You can email me your answers to any or all of these questions at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. We read your comments on the section emails from email. Also email me there if you'd like to be a guest on the show, or if you'd like to sponsor the show, or if you do in fact think that the Brewmaster sounds way too much like that Cleveland Bear. Then there is also the website mikesdailypodcast.com, which has links to where to listen to the show in iTunes. You can subscribe to us there and rate and comment on the show there. If you do that, more people find out about us and we don't languish in obscurity like Tim Cook was trying to help us out doing at the beginning of the show. He is the CEO of Apple and a very powerful man who always wears the same shirt at any of the... Okay, I've maybe seen him dress up a couple times for his presentations, but he's always got that nice kind of purplish collared shirt. And he talks to the people and they all go, wow, yay, that's great that you spent a bunch of money and made something that you're going to make even more money on. Yay, we're all stockholders. You can also listen to the show on YouTube, SoundCloud, TuneIn, Stitcher, Podomatic, Mixcloud, Spreaker, Player FM, Ameristream. And I'm on the air in Connecticut weekday mornings from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. And on the air on a country internet radio station called Country Crossroads. I'm on that weekends, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Pacific time. Links to all those at mikesdailypodcast.com. And you can tell your friends about this show through Facebook. Like the Facebook page, and when I post a new show, share it with your friends, and more people will find out about us. And you can also follow us on Twitter. When I tweet something, retweet that to your friends. That also tells them more about the show and helps more people find out about us. You can also find links to where to listen to us on Instagram, Yelp, and Tumblr. There's also the blog, the Daily Podcast Picture, all my past interviews. And you can support the show through going to Amazon. Anytime you're going to buy anything on Amazon, go through the link at mikesdailypodcast.com, and that helps us out.
The MIKELOPEDIA INSANICA.
The MIKELOPEDIA INSANICA, this amazing book that's got all kinds of fascinating facts in it. And we look and we begin with the topic of, under the letter S, synchronicity.
If you act as you think, the missing link, synchronicity, a connecting principle.
Coincidence. Some experts dismiss this as mere happenstance, while others believe coincidences harbor the secrets to the universe. Here are 3 theories, according to Men's Health magazine. Number 1, nothing is at work. With 7 billion increasingly interconnected people on the planet, sooner or later things are going to intersect. In fact, as the world becomes smaller, expect the unexpected to happen more often. In his book, The Improbability Principle, statistician, thank you, David Hand explains that with a large enough number of opportunities, any outrageous thing is likely to happen. No mysteries are required to explain coincidences, no superstitions, no God. All that's needed are the basic laws of probability. David Spiegelhalter, a University of Cambridge statistician, reached the same conclusion after reviewing 3,500 stories of coincidence submitted to his website. He says, lots of people believe some external force leads to all these bizarre events, but they're what we would expect by chance patterns. think being killed by lightning is an unfortunate coincidence, your odds are actually 1 in 136,011, according to the National Safety Council. Another theory is ego is at work. Ego is at work. Despite the irrefutable laws of probability, it's still hard for most people to accept that life and lightning strikes are entirely random. Indeed, it takes effort to act randomly. That's because accepting the concept of meaningless and of a meaningless world requires accepting the fact that maybe we're meaningless too. So the brain continually searches for patterns. It even cross-checks information while we sleep, which occasionally enables us to wake with fresh insight. And it seizes on coincidence as possible clues to a new order or way of understanding the world. Linking cause and effect is a basic evolutionary process that helps us adapt. You are wired for order. It makes us healthier, and by inflating our egos with the air of self-importance, it makes us more assured. And finally, the third theory is God is at work. The tendency to synchronize is one of the most pervasive drives in the universe, extending from atoms to animals, from people to planets, writes Steven Strogatz, a PhD, a professor of applied mathematics at Cornell University. In his book, Sync, The Emerging Science of Spontaneous Order, he says that sperm swimming side by side en route to an egg beat with their tails in unison. Even laser beams come from trillions of atoms pulsing in concert. And he points out that synchronization also never fails to fascinate us, whether we're watching birds flocking, a flock of birds flocking of like I Ran So Far Away, or fish swimming in schools, listening to an orchestra in symphony. We love it. Many people believe God is the maestro of all this, and noticing his baton in the world naturally brings them peace and joy. But since we have free will, this God can't tell us what to do. So he, she, it presents opportunities and sends messages, often in the guise of coincidence, divine intervention. A similar but more secular theory contends that there is a universal mind, a zeitgeist, a kind of composite brain we all hold a share in. So we think and act independently, but at the same time, whether we're aware of it or not, we think and act collectively. In this respect, humans are like honeybees and termites. In fact, Southwest Airlines studied swarm intelligence among ant colonies when evaluating the most efficient way to funnel passengers onto a plane. The principle of open seating is based on this. That is, if you leave self-organization to a group instead of mandating it, greater efficiency is attained. Crowdsourcing a decision is another example. The potential existence of a universal mind is also a possible reason why great scientific minds sometimes arise why great scientific ideas sometimes arise simultaneously, the phenomenon of multiple discovery. No scientific proof exists for any of this, including the God part. Still, that doesn't mean you can't become your own lab rat and experiment with using coincidence, however you want to interpret it, to your advantage. One way, suggests Men's Health magazine, is number one, practice positive paranoia. Lots of plosives in that sentence. Act as if you inhabit a you-friendly reality in which things will work out in your favor and luck is generally on your side. Number two, pay attention during major shifts. Coincidence tends to happen more often during big life changes. Think buying a home, getting married, starting a new job. Oh my God, that's true. There were so many major shifts going on at once in my life. At the time of when I got married, not shortly after that, my dad passed away. It was crazy. And then it seemed like right after that, I got a job in another state and we had to move. Things all happened at once. And as they say, things happen in threes. Speaking of deaths, as they talk about celebrities, it seems like celebrities pass away in threes. Maybe that's another form of coincidence that we put a pattern to that maybe doesn't really exist. But number 3 in these things that you can practice, seek out coincidence zones. Break set patterns to invite more happenstance into your life. Vary your route to work. Eat lunch at a different spot and talk to strangers. And finally, number 4, digest before dismissing. Take a moment to consider what random events might represent. Could being bumped to another flight actually be an opportunity? California and Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley's newest startup is not an app or a gadget, but it is, in the parlance of the hoodie-clad, disruptive. Wealthy venture capitalist Tim Draper, who funded projects like Hotmail and Skype, wants to split California into 6 pieces, this according to Time magazine. One piece, the state of Silicon Valley, would stretch from the top of San Francisco Bay Area down through San Jose, stopping just before the vineyards of the Central Coast. The idea is that the new piece, the new state, would be more efficient and governable. Last year, the consortium backing the plan announced that it had submitted enough signatures to put the issue in front of voters in 2016 as part of the state's Democratic ballot initiative process. That the plan has little chance of becoming a reality. The Constitution requires the approval of the state assembly and Congress. That hardly matters. A sovereign Silicon Valley would be the richest state in the U.S. with annual per capita income of $63,288, which would be the highest per capita income in the state. It has its roots in the valley's libertarianism, according to Matt Vella. This is a place, after all, where PayPal co-founder Peter Thiel is funding a utopia at sea. Venture capitalist Balaji Srinivasan has proposed a deregulated territory devoted to experimentation, and Elon Musk has toyed with the idea of a Martian colony. This is a place that not only knows what it wants, but increasingly thinks it knows what's best for the rest of us. The tradition holds that a good idea trumps convention or existing law in Silicon Valley, but the Silicon Valley that has created remarkable products and wealth is also prone to alienating detours like Bitcoin and Soylent. Soylent, the trendy open-sourced food substitute. Soylent Green, our people! Then again, this wouldn't be the first time California was shaped to serve powerful interests. At the turn of the 20th century, Harrison Gray Otis, publisher of the Los Angeles Times, used inside information and his newspaper to funnel water from the Owens Valley to the then fledgling city of Los Angeles, which then built the city of Los Angeles. If anyone watching the movie Chinatown would know. But then, what are the states that California would be split into? What would be, well, we've already found out what the richest part would be, but what would be the poorest part? That would be Central California, including Fresno. The largest population in California would, of course, be around Los Angeles, the West California section, which includes LA, includes the big chunk of the West Coast, like Ventura, Malibu, but it stops before you get to San Diego. Then the smallest population would be actually North California, which would include above San Francisco, Marin County, and Sacramento, but stop before you get to Chico. Oh, it's a crazy map and a crazy idea. Follow your heart, or at least pay attention to your heart. Seriously, put down the bread. This also from Men's Health magazine. Cutting carbs, not fat, makes for a healthier ticker, according to a study published in the Annals of Internal Medicine. After 1 year, the increase in HDL cholesterol, that's the good kind, I always forget that. LDL, the bad kind. So the increase in HDL cholesterol among carb cutters was 4 times that of people on a low-fat diet. Lower carb intake means your body burns stored fat for energy, leading to improved heart health. Just be sure to opt for healthy fats, such as olive oil. Interesting, huh? As we go outside of Cafe Anyway here at the last place on earth located somewhere in Podcastro Valley, you found out about synchronicity, about how California is going to explode into a bunch of mini states, which I also heard on the Brian Unger show. He used to be a correspondent on The Daily Show, and now he's on History Channel 2 doing this show called How the States Got Their Shapes. You can find that on Netflix, and they talk all about how California at one time was going to be a bunch of different states, including the state of Jefferson, right? That's up there in Northern California. They wanted to split off back around 1941. But the day they were going to announce their secession was like the day after Pearl Harbor, and that lost steam quick. And then some health news for you there. Very helpful, I hope, and that you've enjoyed that MIKELOPEDIA Insanica. But now, some picture taking.
And here's today's podcast picture.
Basil the Boxer and I, we like to go to Point Isabel. In fact, we were there on our way to Petaluma on that trip I was telling you about. And in fact, behind me, that picture you see that we took at Petaluma, there is the Richmond Bridge. Actually, you can't see that. You can see the Golden Gate Bridge way off there in the distance. It's such an awesome spot to go to, Point Isabel. If you have a dog, everybody's letting their dogs run off leash, so they're all sniffing and playing with each other, and it's a beautiful sight to see a big chunk of the bay. You can see the Bay Bridge, and yeah, it's the whole gamut, the swath. San Francisco, wonderful. And then I'm wearing a Stitcher t-shirt, which I haven't been listening to Stitcher very often lately. It's not working on my phone. I have an old iPhone, and Stitcher just does not work with older iPhones. You got to have the newer ones. But you can listen to the show on Stitcher, and I do have a cool t-shirt from them. See Basil and that picture at Mike'sDailyPodcast.com. Mike, I want to tell y'all that I decided I don't want to run anymore. That's good. Why not? It's hard to run in boots. Yeah. You can do plenty of other exercises. Do you like to swim? Yeah, I just don't like to swim in my boots. No, that's not a good idea. It ruins them. Right. It's not good for the leather. Exactly. This conversation is something that Seth MacFarlane would write. Only in his conversation that he'd be having, there would be a lot of like expletives and talk, scatological conversation. What's that? Poop. Oh, right. Young men enjoy that sort of South Parkian humor, and so do some 40-year-old men that do Nerdist shows. They like that frat humor. Good for them. Yeah. And then the next show, we're going to have a really cool singer-songwriter. He's been here before, but he's got a brand new album, and it's so fun to talk to him. He's actually been here before, has met Basil the Boxer. His name is Daniel G. Harmon. All the way from Seattle, Washington, we'll be speaking to him and hearing about his new album. Plus, we'll hear from Madame Rutabaga Valentino and Bison Bentley.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at Mike'sDailyPodcast.com. Email Mike now at Mike'sDailyPodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!